All right, we are live. It is time to start the Get Off My Lawn podcast. And normally I have a whole bunch of long-winded intro stuff to do. However, due to time constraints from certain guests, we're not going to do a lot of that tonight. So my name is John, and I will be your host tonight. And as always, we've got Sandhills Sweetheart over in the producer's chair. So if you're out there in the live chat, which a lot of you already are, then go ahead and say hi, drop a comment, let us know you're out there. And with that being said, there's a rally coming up. And I think a lot of you that are regulars here know that because we've been talking about it off and on for the last couple of weeks here. But there was a rally a year ago I think it was in November, but it was on the steps of the lawn of the U.S. Capitol. And so I'm going to mute you up there, Pat. There we go. Okay, so anyway, this was something that was kind of thrown together, and no group took any credit for it. It really was everybody getting together without credit going out to anywhere but except just to 2A Patriots or pro 2A Patriots. It's happening again this Saturday, October 24th, but because of campus police or not campus, Capitol Police having to tell everybody that if you want a permit to gather, you're limited to 50 bodies. That is it total, presenters and everything. The decision was made to take this show on the interwebs, just like the GRPC was here a couple weeks ago. So with that being said, I know I've got a few of the people that are on the planning committee and a few of the presenters that are here tonight, and one of whom doesn't have a lot of time with us. So the more I talk, the less he can talk. So we've got Top Shot Chris Cheng back. He was here a couple of weeks ago, and we want to welcome you back, Chris, and thank you for joining us. And just, you know what, you're going to get a chance to just kind of lead off and tell everybody what this rally is what it really is, what's happening, and then what it means to you to have a rally like this.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for having me, John. And so, this Saturday, October 24th, we're having over 30 speakers come and talk about the Second Amendment and why it's a freedom that is worth defending and speaking up and protecting our Second Amendment rights. And last year's rally was incredible. And I distinctly remember how energized and motivated and inspired that I felt hearing all of these broad and diverse perspectives and opinions from the gun community about the Second Amendment. And we put any differences that we may have, put those aside, and for the rally, we all united against a common threat, and made sure that politicians and Americans at large understand that there are law-abiding gun owners like us and like millions of other Americans out there who believe in our Second Amendment rights, and that we're not all some kind of cookie cutter stereotype of a person or a type of people. And for me, I'm gay and come from the LGBT community, and I also represent Asians as well in the firearm space. And me, along with many of our other speakers, many of who, some of who are here today, come from a broad variety of backgrounds and experiences. And I'm just so excited for the virtual rally this Saturday. It's really going to be something special, and I'm honored to not just be on the organizing committee, but also one of the co-MCs along with Rob, who's here with us tonight as well.
Awesome. And that is so cool that we have you along with us. You know what? Let's just give everybody equal screen time here. So, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but when it comes to holding rallies, especially rallies for the Second Amendment, in your words, Chris, what would you say is why is it so important? What is the reason that we need to keep doing things like this, whether big, nationwide virtual rallies or just something that somebody schedules in their hometown?
It is so important for us to speak out, because if we don't, then the anti-gun forces are going to speak for us. And that's where I think the firearms community, we have fallen short over the past few decades, and I think it's a huge opportunity for us to be present, for us to use our voices to defend and protect our Second Amendment rights. And typically, I think there's this overriding mentality that gun owners aren't quote unquote rally people. But we totally busted that myth last year. And at last year's rally, we had a few thousand people, which was a fantastic first showing. I mean, just really incredible. And then we reached, tons more people online last year. And so, with this year's virtual rally, it's just going to be a tremendous force multiplier to have the live stream, broadcasts all across the country, and we're excited for the for all the people that are going to join us for the virtual rally on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to hear all of the speakers. I was reading through a list here a while back, and it seems like in the last 12 months, I've actually gotten to know quite a few of the presenters, just through this podcast here and a few others. So it's really cool to I guess just to be able to interact, and I can tell everybody out there listening that any of the folks that I've met, any of the presenters or the speakers here at the rally coming up that I've met, I mean, they're all real, they're all genuine, and that's one of the things that I've said time and time again I love most about the pro gun and the pro 2A community is it's just a bunch of real people. It's not a bunch of fakes or put-ons or anything like that. Everybody is able to be who they really are. And that's what makes it awesome, because that's what the normal, average person wants is just, just that, I guess, that normalcy or whatever you want to call it. So it's really cool. Real quick before Chris has to go, because I know his time is limited, any of the panelists, feel free to just kind of jump in if there's anything you want to say to Chris or ask him or anything like that. And then also, we've got a few minutes, so out there in the live chat, if you've got questions or comments for Chris, put those in there. And if I see those come through, because I know there's a lag, but if I see those come through before Chris is gone, then we will get a chance to ask him a question or two as well. So I'll just open up here to the panel. Anybody want to jump in and add anything to what Chris has said there so far, or ask him any questions? I know you guys probably talk to him way more than I do. All right. I guess nobody wants to talk to you, Chris. I'm here for you. Just want you to know.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
I talk to Chris every 4.5 minutes this week. So, and
Okay.
every day. So we're good. But I'm sure, I don't know. I thought I saw something on Facebook. Somebody was asking.
Is it out there? We're not live on Facebook, but if somebody had questions, I'm not going to see it because right now we're only on YouTube.
Yeah,
So.
I've got a comment section going under a post to share.
Aha, that's awesome. All right. Well, if there's anything out there and you want to jump in and voice that would be awesome. Thanks, Rob. All right, here. So
I'll say,
yeah.
So yeah, one comment. I want to call out the Puerto Rican pistolero, and I don't want to steal all his thunder, but he's with us today because of last year's rally, and he didn't intend necessarily to become a Second Amendment advocate, but his story and his background, which he'll be sharing with listeners today, is why we're doing the rally.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating these moments where hopefully people will hear something from one of, or from many of the 30 speakers, and make them stop and think, right? And make them stop and think and say, okay, you know what? Maybe shooting guns isn't just about fun, right? It's not just about having a good time, and maybe it's not just about family and friends and community, but this is something that is worth me as a gun owner taking action to defend my rights, to defend our country's core of who we are. And silence is compliance. That is, I think, an overriding message that we have to drive home, that gunners cannot be silent, because if you are silent, then you're basically compliant and complicit in all of this anti-gun legislation and anti-gun movements that take place. So we have to speak up, and the Puerto Rican Pistolero is I think just emblematic of what we want to accomplish and what we did accomplish in last year's rally. And for this year, we want more Puerto Rican pistoleros, right? People who hear the rally and join the rally and decide to, speak up on behalf of freedom. It's just so amazing.
No, that.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
That's very cool. I've heard the story a little bit. I've never actually heard it from your mouth, Rolando, but I've heard other people talk about you. Your I can't even talk tonight. Don't worry about me. I'm just the host. It's just a podcast. It's only live. Don't worry about that about a bit. Your reputation precedes you, sir, is what I was trying to get out there. And Chris, before you're gone, G23 just wanted to thank you again for agreeing to come on his live stream here next month, sometime in November. So if you're not subscribed to G23, you should probably go find that channel and do so, because he does a Saturday night. I think it's about 7:00 Central Time that G23 does that. And
I'm looking forward to going on G23's podcast. It's gonna be great.
Right, you can catch more Chris Cheng there. But the biggest thing that we want to bring attention to tonight is you can catch a lot of Chris this weekend, Saturday. And what are the hours again that these presentations are going to be going? It's not live, obviously it's virtual, but at the same time the live chat feature will be there, so you can watch these as they premiere and actually interact live with people out in the chat. So what are the hours that's going to happen, Chris?
Yeah, so starting at 1 p.m. Pacific time, me and then Rob Pincus and Cheryl Todd, the three of us are going to be live hosting the rally. So the three of us are going to be live from 1 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. And the best place to check for the live stream is either website at secondamendmentrally.com, and that's 2 ndamendmentrally.com. And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And so we're really excited to do this this live rally virtually. It's gonna be a ton of fun, and we're just gonna be very excited and very proud to be representing 30 amazing speakers coming from all different walks of life and coming together to speak in defense of our Second Amendment rights.
Very cool. All right. And again, like I said, I know that that time is most people's most precious commodity, and I know that tonight yours is limited. So again, we just want to thank you as well, Chris, for taking time out of your busy day to hang out with us even for a little bit and talk about your part, because you're not only co-hosting or co-emceeing this, you also have a presentation that you're going to be part of.
Correct.
One of the speakers as well, right?
Indeed, yes, I'm on double duty for
awesome.
The day. I'm going to be really enjoying every moment, and look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday, the 24th, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific. And thanks again for having me on the show, John.
You betcha. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. And like I said before, you're welcome at my fire anytime, Chris. So all right. I did have somebody else that was kind of waiting out in the green room to come into the room, but he's not out there right now. So if he jumps back in, then we will throw one more person up here into the panel. But in the meantime, we'll just kind of keep going here. So now that I've got a little bit of time, and I know that everybody else isn't quite as rushed to get out of here, I do want to just comment and thank everybody out there in the live chat for joining us so far. We've got Mystic Guns was out there first. Sandhills Sweetheart is in the live chat, which is, you know how this works. She does the typing while I do the talking, so we can kill both birds with 2 stones that way. Kingpin's out there. Tony's out there. Simon Says Train. Iron Horseman. Defense Dad. Locked and Loaded Latinos is doing double duty in here and out there as well. We've got Mike. We've got 2 Live Moo. Grim 90. Idaho Rogers USMC. M. Gabriel. Emily L. G23, of course, is out there. 7 Wonders. I'm scrolling through, so I hope I don't miss anybody. Blitz is in the house. Earth or Eartha, I'm not sure which that is. But that's a new name I haven't seen before. Fluffy 10mm Jeep guy, Agorizer. You're late, but that's okay. We're not going to give out any tardy slips. It's all good. Better late than never. So thanks everybody for joining us again. If you're not commenting in the live chat, we don't know you're here. So please drop those comments and let us know that you stopped by, because we like to thank you for joining us at the end of the night. Josiola's out there too. So, all right, we've got a few more people on the panel that are involved with this rally coming up. So we're going to pick on one of the other co-MCs, co-organizers. I don't know. It seems like people give this guy a lot of credit for a lot of the stuff that happens with the rallies and stuff like that. And I think that, he really just kind of sits around and doesn't do much. He's really not that busy. He just always acts like he's busy. Nah, I'm kidding. We know how busy you really are, Rob, but we've got Rob Pincus, who again is one of the organizers and will be one of the MCs as well Saturday. So Rob, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. I like that. Is that a sticker or is that a patch on your back wall there?
That is one of the gear websites from gun websites patches that I've just used to decorate my studio, also known as the front room of my apartment. So I thought I'd put something out there. You got
one of those?
There it is. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. So I for a second there, I thought you were going to introduce Tony, because I heard Tony get a lot of credit for the rally success and really the success of humans in general around the planet. I do appreciate getting to share the podcast with Tony Simon. Definitely one of the most influential people in the community. And I'm really proud to have him on stage this year. You were there last year. Rolando was there last year. And kind of like Chris said, I think for me, that's the most important thing that I can say about what I'm excited about, is having people who saw it, experienced it. Tony's been, very vocal and around the community for a long time, and again, very influential to a lot of people. Rolo's newer on the scene. His wife, Joanna's definitely newer on the scene also, because she really kind of, as she explained on the podcast I did with them last week, kind of came out as a gun owner after the Second Amendment rally last year. But getting people into the mix, getting these other ideas, these other perspectives out there really was the impetus behind the first rally. Making sure that the gun community, first of all, foremost, gun owners, and anyone looking at the gun community knows, without the ability to deny it, the ability to ignore it, that there's more than one voice that represents the Second Amendment, that represents gun owners, that represents gun ownership. And we're just an incredibly diverse group. And that word, I think, gets overused a little bit in terms of superficial diversity, right? Like white guy, black guy, Hispanic guy. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about thought diversity and experience diversity and focus diversity and methodology diversity and every other diversity you can mention that goes so much deeper than just, shade of skin or, genetic backdrop. And I think that's incredibly important. So last year I was invited to join what was a potential organizing committee for the 2A rally. And I said absolutely yes, as I usually do. It doesn't always work, but usually if somebody says you want to try this, I'll say yeah. And last year it worked. An amazing day, beautiful weather, great speeches, great crowd, just came together. And the idea was it was going to be a one-off. As Chris said, it was no sponsors, no organization, all the donations, all the money that was donated. It's not really a donation because there wasn't any 501c3 or anything like that. All of the money that was provided by people inside the gun community, individuals and companies and organizations, was donated anonymously to pay for the stage and the permits and those other things that we needed last year for the in-person event at the Capitol. No money was given to any of the speakers for any expenses for travel or lodging or any of that. A bunch of us chipped in and bought a few drinks and some snacks and like that afterwards. I had a couple drinks bought for me as well, so it definitely wasn't a one-way street. The after party was great, but there was no compensation, no sponsorship, no advertising allowed, none of that. It was just literally for the people, by the people. And it wasn't all established names in the gun community. Certainly we did have some leaders of the gun community who've been around for decades in some cases, as we do this year. But some of the people that came up on that stage were not known to the average gun owner, and certainly not known to the average politician or the average person who would take away our gun rights. So like I said, we pulled it off. We were really proud of it. There was a lot of momentum, a lot of interest in doing it again. So 2 weeks later, I was back in DC and filled out the paperwork and turned in the paperwork for a permit for this year. We all know the story. We aren't going to be there in person. We're doing a virtual rally. And I think it's going to be great. You know, it's not as good as being in person. I'll never say that. I don't want to try to spin this like, oh, it's a blessing in disguise. It's not. I wish we were there. But there are some positive aspects and things that can be done well with a virtual rally. There's some people that were able to participate. For example, Yehuda Reamer, the Pew Pew Jew. He's an Orthodox Jew. He could not be there on Saturday. He was able to record a speech that will be played on Saturday by other people because he, of course, is going to be observing the Sabbath on that day. So he could never have participated if it were actually on Saturday, you know, live, even forget about not being recorded, but certainly not in person. So, you know, there's some aspects of this that are going to be very, very unique. We expect to be back in Washington, D.C. next year because this will be an annual event now. And I've had several people helping out again this year, some in the background, some volunteering, some contributing time and expertise, and then obviously some people very much in the forefront. Everybody knows Diana Muller was very involved this year also in the organizing, and the other two people that are public members of the organizing committee are Cheryl Todd and Chris Cheng, and they'll be joining me as MCs for the live broadcast. And it is really important that even though the speeches are recorded, there is going to be some energy and momentum to the liveness of the event. We've got some special content that even the other speakers don't know about that's going to be delivered. Some of the things that will be said and that will be live, will be off the cuff, and we will be interacting with the audience through the comments across many platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, and OpsLens.
That's so awesome. So as far as the MCing goes, is that live? Are you going to be, you and Chris and Cheryl going to be someplace where you're actually live doing the MC duties? Like if what you said, you know, some of it's non-scripted, off the cuff, whatever. Is that how that's going to work? Because that seems like a really cool idea. Yeah,
we're actually going to be spread out. So I'm going to be going to the NRA members meeting, which is a whole nother topic for another show.
Right.
I'll be down in Arizona that morning. And in fact, the idea is that all of my contributions will be live that day. I will, however, just in case for some reason the meeting of the members goes longer than we expect, or the board meeting of the NRA goes longer than we expect, I will have some recorded material that Paul Lathrop's actually going to be handling all the choreography behind the scenes. He's going to be doing all that technical work that he does so well for Amazon, in the past for GRPC, obviously the Polite Society podcast. He does such a great job producing these types of things. There's no one in the gun community I'd rather be working with. He's going to have some stuff that I will contribute via recording in case I don't make it on time. But I can't imagine that I won't be there live for all of it, but certainly the vast majority of it. And Chris and Cheryl will be live. And we've been kind of rehearsing, as I said. He and I have been talking a lot, especially today. Rehearsing might be a strong word, but we've been talking a lot about how we're going to be doing the handoffs and things like that. It's going to feel, I think, more like a live sports broadcast, kind of. You know, with let's talk to Chris in the dugout, and Cheryl's up here with the bird's eye view, and I may be in the I don't know, in the back room doing interviews with some of the people, getting the inside scoop. So it's going to be kind of handoff to handoff to handoff, and some interaction with the live crowd.
That is so cool. I cannot wait to take in some of that. I'm actually going to be, I don't know for sure what I'm going to be doing. I've got to make a trip up home and get some stuff set up for hunting deer here in a few more weeks. So I'm going to be catching as much of this live as I can as we're kind of in and out of the vehicle and whatnot. And so look for Sandhills Shooter out there in the live chat. I'll be in and out, kind of what's happening, but for sure, the ones that I don't catch live, I will definitely go back and watch everybody's presentation so that I don't miss any of them. That's one of the side benefits, like you said, maybe not a blessing in disguise, but one of the side benefits of doing everything virtually is that if anybody can't make it live, which so what, 1 to 4 Pacific is like 2 to 5 Mountain, or 3 to 6 Central, or 4 to 7 Eastern, if I've got that figured out right. And if you're not in one of those time zones, you're in like Hawaii or some other country, then you're going to have to do your own math. Because I just can't keep up. My brain can't handle it, but I can handle 4 time zones. And the Central time zone, as we all know, is the only time zone that matters anyway. All you East Coasters I'm sorry. So, Rob, I want to ask you the same question that I asked Chris before he had to leave. Why is it so important to you, in your own words, that two-way rallies actually happen, whether they're big nationwide events like this or just something local within just one town. Why do you think that it's so important that we have such a thing as a rally like this?
Guns are embedded in American culture. They're as embedded as vehicles, right? They're at least as embedded. They're probably 20 times more embedded than motorcycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you think about it, no one sits around like at a dinner party whether or not they should mention that they have a motorcycle, right? Nobody questions whether or not they should say that they have a pedal bike. Nobody questions whether or not they should say that they have a Jeep, or that they have a old sports car or a new sports car that they only take out on the weekends. It's not their daily driver. Like, these are things we talk about all the time, right? And these aren't even things that obviously we all know are not enumerated in the Bill of Rights, right? They're not part of our rights as citizens to own and to engage with and for a very specific purpose to have, right? To be an important purpose, to protect ourselves and protect our way of life in the worst case scenario. That's a travesty, right? So while I do not support individual, what I would call open carry activism, right? The idea that you're going to somehow normalize guns by, wearing an AR over your shoulder to go to Starbucks. Like, I just don't believe in that. I don't think that's how it works. And there's no evidence to suggest that it does. What I do believe is that when dozens or scores or hundreds or thousands of American gun owners share with their neighbors, and whether those neighbors are on our continent or those neighbors are in their town, that they are proud American gun owners, I think that starts to shift the conversation. I think that makes it really hard for people to pretend that it's just gun owners, like some weird cult that lives up in the mountains or, lives over there down by the river, or maybe does it, kind of sneakily or illegally in the cities and is nothing but a threat to everybody else if they've got guns there. That's not how this works, So I think that showing ourselves as proud American gun owners, and I say, when the rally's in person, it's not cosplay. Don't show up like you're playing, Call of Duty or, what you wore when you were in the military 10, 20, 15 years ago or 2 months ago or next week when you go to drill. Wear what you would wear to work. I don't care if it's your Starbucks uniform, cool. If it's your, shop shirt, cool. If it's a suit, cool. If it's a nurse, if it's scrubs, just show up as the average American that you are, that clearly can be identified as an average American at a gun rally. That you don't need the AR, you don't need the plate carrier, you don't need the sign that says, from my cold dead hands. You don't need that. You just need to be there, be proud, and show your support. And what's really unique now about what's going to happen this week, because Breitbart streamed us live last year. So people that weren't there could have watched, and tens of thousands did watch on the Breitbart live stream. We had other people that streamed portions of the rally last year. We had all the rallies recorded and we published those, and Brownells published some of them, and AR15.com published some of them. We have the 2A Rally YouTube page where we publish the videos. So they're all out there and people could look at them. But here's what happens. You go to the rally and you're there and you're engaged and you're excited and you're high-fiving, and then it's over, and then you got to fight traffic or take the train or whatever you got to do to go to where you parked. And then we had the baseball team parade thing going on in DC last year the same day. So you had to fight to get to a restaurant. Maybe you got to your hotel. Maybe you went out with friends and had a few drinks. Maybe you made new friends and had drinks. Maybe you had drinks and then made new friends. Whatever it is, by the time you get back to your computer and your phone, you're not thinking about posting and sharing. Well, here this Saturday, we're all going to be sitting there with the phone or with our computer or whatever, and you can hit share. You can hit start a watch party. You can copy and paste the link to your favorite gun forum or the person that needs to hear these messages that maybe is on the fence about guns. Maybe you go to the place where they think all gun owners are some one niche stereotype, whatever that caricature is. And you're going to say, hey, really, seriously, if you want to talk about this, go watch this, listen to these people. And that'll happen in the moment. And we're going to be reminding people all day long, all afternoon long on Saturday, click share, copy and paste, take a screenshot now, post a link, share this from wherever, share it from YouTube, share it from Instagram, share it from Facebook, share it from, put it on a tweet, whatever you're going to do, because literally that's the power. That's the one potential upside of this. And again, it doesn't outweigh being there in person and the pictures in front of the Capitol and all that stuff. But the consolation prize is instant sharing, watch parties, commenting. When you hear something, you've got the little thing you can do on your iPhone. If you got the newer iPhones, where you can actually record the thing. Like, we're not going to sue you for copyright violation. If you love Tony Simon, what he's going to say is going to be amazing. screen recording, screen capture that, post it to your YouTube, post it to your Facebook, put it on your Instagram, IGTV, whatever. We want this out there, and people will literally be attached to the technology that allows them to share it while they're watching. I think that's powerful.
That's very cool. That is awesome. All right. And again, thanks for taking time out of your day to hang out with us, because I know you really are busy. My earlier comments notwithstanding. So we appreciate the time that you give us. Just, I guess I always describe this as a small but growing channel, or a small but growing podcast. I mean, my joke, and I stole this from somebody else, but I like to say, every Tuesday night we go out live to tens of people. And but we're growing it, and the cool thing is I'm seeing the numbers are getting they're starting to grow on the views on demand, I guess, or the replay, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of cool too. But I just, again, I want to express the fact that half of my panel right now are people who are going to be talked about when there's an event like a 2A rally, or any kind of nationwide event like GRPC, anything like that. These are names that people talk about as presenters, as attendees, as somebody that you want to meet, you want to get your picture taken with them and things like that, because they're the movers and the shakers that are making this 2A advocacy thing really happen and keeping it going. And the fact that I've got so many of you that have just blessed us to come onto this podcast and help us help you just promote this. I mean, it's a blessing to us to know that you guys are out there, and I can't express enough how appreciative we are, just how much we love the fact that all of you guys are doing what you're doing. So please, if it ever gets discouraging, because I know sometimes it does, I know that sometimes you just kind of look at the person in the mirror and you're like, am I doing any good with this? Is it really worth going and fighting today? It is. And some of us are seeing it, and some of us appreciate what you're doing. So hopefully that'll encourage you on any of those days that you got to argue with that guy in the mirror that says, hey, it's you're not doing anything. Don't even bother. He's wrong. You're definitely doing stuff. So thanks all of you for that. We're going to bring in a few more people here, and those of you that are usual suspects, of course, I'm going to bring you in, but we're going to let our guests speak first. We're going to talk to Tony next. Tony is actually broadcasting from an undisclosed location on planet Lovetron, and so thank you for joining us from your moon base Alpha, or whatever it is up there on planet Lovetron, Tony. Of course, nobody wants anybody to give away what they're gonna say or what's coming on Saturday, but I'm just gonna throw you the same question first of all. When it comes to having rallies, things like this, in your own words, why is it so important that we do this, and why do these rallies make a difference, as far as what you would say?
I believe the rallies make a huge difference in getting people together who are like-minded when it comes to their Second Amendment rights, but they don't necessarily have to be cookie cutter. You got people from every background. You got sexuality. You got everything. We have Aaron Paulette, and Chris, who represent the LGBTQ community. You have all of these people out finally meeting face to face, people that talk to each other online, people that some of the same Facebook groups, and you talk constantly anyway. You liking each other's pictures, you like each other's Instagram stuff. Now you finally get to see each other in person, and you get to network with others and put together and build a stronger community. And I think that's needed. And someone said, oh, we'll never convince someone. Just one of the complaints online, because you hear those whenever you host a rally. We're talking to the choir. Yes, that's why we have rallies. That's the choir. That's why we're there, to motivate each other, to be positive examples for each other, and create events that people want to go to. I mean, who didn't look at the 50,000 people in Richmond, Virginia, after this rally? Because people were like, oh, this rally's not going to be big, it's not going to be huge. And then a few thousand people showed up, and then the next big rally they had was in Virginia, and how many gun owners across the country looked at it and went, man, I wish I could be there. That's why we host these rallies. We get together afterwards. We're having dinner. We're having breakfast before. We're meeting each other and motivating each other and creating friendships and relationships that last over time. And now, whenever you're in your state capital and you feel like you're getting your butt kicked because, Bloomberg money got dumped in and they passed the bill you were fighting against and you're getting down, you can call one of your friends that you made at one of the rallies and go, man, we got our butt kicked, man. I just don't feel like the work I put in is worth it. And you have your own organic cheerleading squad, your grassroots cheerleading squad to go, hey, man, look, I live in Jersey. Believe me, I know what it's like getting your teeth kicked in. Dust yourself off, have a drink, and jump back in the fray because we're fighting a good fight. And I think that is that sense of fellowship and community that happens at rallies.
That is
and that's what we
amazing. I like the way you said that. And again, when it comes to this, I mean, nobody's doing this by themselves. When it comes to organizing a rally, when it comes to just advocating for the Second Amendment, no matter what you're doing, you're not alone. And the way that I like to look at this, and I think it was actually G. Webbs who was the first one to ever say this, or that I heard it from first. But a single drop of water can't get much done. But when you put enough of them together, look what the Colorado River has done. Yeah, it wasn't overnight. The river had to work at it, but eventually it carved a canyon a mile deep. And that's where the Grand Canyon is, for those of you who aren't geography buffs like I am. So, yeah, sometimes we talk about rights eroding and things weren't done, overnight, but just think of the power of many, many drops of water. One raindrop won't cause a flood, but enough raindrops together can be very either destructive or, depending on how the water is used, very constructive. But just keep in mind that you're one raindrop, and there's so many more raindrops out there that are working with you to get something done. And I like what you said about having a built-in cheerleading squad. I mean, we really do need to make sure that we're building each other up. It's so easy to get caught up as gun owners into the things that we want to argue about. And, if we do that within our own circles, I mean, that can be fun. If you want to rib the guy because you don't like Glocks and he just bought one, or that, you like automatics and he likes revolvers, whatever it is that you want to, argue about in good nature, that's cool. But the thing is, there are times that we need to stop doing that because the world is watching. And there are times that we need to show that, hey, just because one person likes this and another person likes that doesn't mean that we're not a united front here. And I think sometimes we lack that. And a rally is really a great way, in my mind, to just get those people together who, it doesn't matter if you like 45 or 9mm, you're still there. It doesn't matter if you think high points are ugly or if you own 3 of them, you're still there. It doesn't matter any of these arguments that we have, because it brings the focus to what's important. And it brings everybody to focus together on, our long-term goal or our long-term prize, which is to get our rights back and make it to where nobody even considers touching them again, right? That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that we don't lose our rights. We want to make sure that we don't give any more ground, not one more inch, right? But at the same time, we want to be proactive. We want to gain back the rights that have been taken away. We want to make sure that that the American public understands that, like Rob said, the firearm is just ingrained into this country so deeply that it shouldn't be considered ever that we should take those away from people. Yes, of course, there are people who have proven that they're not responsible enough and can't be trusted with such a thing. Right. Well, I'm not saying that everybody literally should have the thing, but everybody who's not screwed up and lost their rights should be able to have whatever they want. That's what I think. And so the rally is a great way just to kind of bring everybody together, everybody to focus. And the cool thing is, when you start looking around at a rally, especially, the bigger the area from which everybody comes to join it, I mean, you're going to see a huge cross section of real America. You're going to see the people in scrubs, or maybe they just changed out of their scrubs to go there. You're going to see the people that work with their hands for a living, whether they fix cars or build houses. You're going to see the people that fix hands and fix hearts and fix eyeballs. You're going to see people who work in an office building. You're going to see people who put their life on the line every day to keep you and me safe. You're going to see all kinds of cool people. None of us are the same, yet we're all the same because we all have one goal in mind. So I really like that. So as far as things coming up, the rally is coming up, and then what else do you have going on? Because you've got a few other things that you're doing too, and I know that you've been here and talked about them before. But just a real quick refresher, Tony. What are the other things that that you've got going on to help bring people into the fold and advance this two-way message?
Well, right, Thursday, actually, the 22nd, I'm hosting the Diversity Shoot. The Second is for Everyone Diversity Shoot at the Heritage Guild in Easton, PA. And that's another get together, bringing people together, regardless of your age, regardless of your background, sexuality, religion, whatever. You're welcome to our event. It's inclusive. All I want you to do is come in, have fun, shoot guns, learn about other Second Amendment groups and how you can join the fight. And if you have, I know somebody's bringing his mother-in-law for the first time, and she just has some questions, and she's willing to come into a gun range and have this conversation. And we have the meeting room, and we talk to people and just have fun, and just safely introduce you to the real Second Amendment people, real gun owners, real Second Amendment groups. And we can have a conversation. You don't even have to agree. I'm not trying to have you leave there with a Trump 2020 hat on and a NRA tattoo. That's not my job. My job is to introduce you to this thing and go, hey, we cool. We don't even have to agree when this is over with. But at least you saw I'm not that stereotype that your news media keeps trying to present me as, even though I'm wearing my protest Boogaloo shirt today. These things are ugly. I have no idea why people want to wear them. And I caught this on sale for like $10. That's the only reason I'm rocking it. But I just want to bust up the stereotype. And that's why I'm doing this. And my wife won't let me leave the house with it on.
It's not a true Boogaloo shirt if you're not putting a plate carrier over it. So you're only halfway there. You got the boog, but you're missing the aloo.
Do you understand how small a plate carrier looks on me?
Okay, so I don't know what size t-shirt you wear, but I know what size t-shirt I wear. And I know that even I have to make sure that when I can't order t-shirts from every website because they don't always have enough X's in front of them to fit me comfortably. So, however, there you go. Look at that.
That's my plate carrier.
Yeah, it's going to cover up most of the vitals, though. You're good.
No, it's barely. It's 4 inches above my belly button, dude.
That is so cool. All right. Well, again, thanks for being here, and thanks for everything that you're doing, both with the rally and with the diversity shoot, and just all of the things that you're doing to make sure that people understand that not only are gun owners not bad people, but they're not necessarily who people think they are. They are, a locksmith in New Jersey who doesn't look like I do and doesn't have the same background. It doesn't have the same story. But the cool thing is that, again, in this community, we don't care what you look like. We don't care your gender. We don't care the color of your skin, the color of your hair, whether you're not you even have any hair, because mine is going rapidly and I'm cool with that. It's fine. Mostly. But that's just, this community is so deeply inclusive. And again, it's not just about skin color. This is a community where it doesn't matter if you have guns just because you think maybe that the world is going crazy this year and you're one of now the count is roughly 5 million new gun owners this year. It doesn't matter if you've had guns, you were gifted one on the day that you were born and one was put in the safe for you. It doesn't matter, whether you hunt or carry one for defense or keep one just in case the government wants to outgrow its britches or any of the other reasons that people have a firearm. You're part of this community. And the rally is for you. And there's going to be somebody speaking this Saturday at that rally that is going to have something to say that's going to resonate with you. And I'll just make a prediction. There's nobody hearing my voice right now who watches those speeches. If you watch the whole thing, there's going to be something that will resonate with you. Maybe not all of them, and that's the whole point of this. But there's going to be somebody there that says something that really hits home with you. And that's why we're doing it, because we want to reach you, whoever you are, This is for you. This is about you. This affects you, maybe in ways that you've never even considered. Maybe there'll be ways that you've never considered brought up on this Saturday. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But again, it's so cool. Now, one of the side benefits of doing a rally, whether it's virtual or and I'm with Rob. I really like the live stuff. I've only been to one so far, but I can't wait to be part of more. And one of the side benefits is rallies can literally, sometimes, not for everybody, but they can literally change your life. And our next guest here was actually, his life was changed. His wife's life was changed by going to DC last year and being part of this rally, not as presenters, just in the audience. But everything that has happened in the last year for these two has just been, from what I understand, such a wild, and it sounds like very cool ride. And now I'm limited in my knowledge of the story, and there's really no reason for me to tell your story when you're here. So we've got Rolando, we've got the Puerto Rican pistolero, and first of all, for anybody out there watching or listening who isn't familiar with you and what you're doing, would you just real quick tell everybody who you are, where we can find you, and then really what I want to hear about is your experience from last year and what that caused and what's happened since then. So this could be kind of long, which is why I wanted to give Rolo the time that all the time we can give him to talk tonight. So I'll stop talking. You go ahead and take it from here.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me on, John. I really appreciate it. Yeah, our story is kind of unique. I'm Rolando, the Puerto Rican pistolero. You can see me. I'm Locked and Loaded Latinos in the chat. That's an account that my wife and I both use, and like John mentioned, my wife and I are kind of in this together. And really, we started our advocacy just before the 2A rally. Really, for me, my wife and I had actually been off of social media for about 4 or 5 years because we're just tired of the drama and just everyday lives and politics and things like that. But it really was, we live in South Florida, so about 30 minutes sandwiched in between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And it really was the Parkland massacre that kind of pushed us into advocacy, just being in proximity to it, seeing what the state of Florida's legislature did, and the fact that we had a governor and the state legislature that were both Republican, and they still were willing within weeks of that tragedy just to pass red flag laws and change the purchase age of firearms and the waiting period and all that here in the state of Florida. And that just proved to my wife and I that there's really nobody that you can entrust with your rights except for yourself. And you really have to take control of that. So we started getting involved a little bit more in social media. She did first, especially on Instagram. And then she started following a few of the people that you might even see here and that you'll definitely see at the rally. And she told me, hey, there's a great community here. You need to get involved. And I started getting involved. I started jumping into different live streams and live chats with some of the different, I guess you could call them influencers and advocates. And I actually was told about the gun rights policy conference last year in Arizona, but I had just gotten into all of this pretty much right when that was going in and getting started. So my wife and I didn't have a chance to do that, but I made a commitment to myself and I pretty much let it out there to everybody. If another event like this is happening, I'm definitely going to go because this is something that I want to start getting into. And sure enough, the 2A rally just was announced. I know that kind of it started being planned after GRPC. A lot of the people that were involved in that or that were there kind of had that idea in their heads. So as soon as that Instagram group was created, I just said immediately, I'm going to do this. And I went to my wife, Johanna, and I said, I'm going to do this. I want to go. I'm pretty much going to go, even if you can't get a day off to go with me, I'm going to do this because I feel like this is kind of something that I want to become involved in. And I want to meet a lot of the people that I've interacted with. And she said, no, if you're going to go, I'm in this with you and we're going to do it together. So I pretty much made the announcement. I know Rob can kind of testify to this because I think he was one of the first guys that saw it, that was one of the first people. I think I was actually the first person that said they were going to go and that they were committed to it. Bought my airline tickets, showed that I was going to go, got the Airbnb, and that was pretty much it. And in doing so, I was also invited to a breakfast that a few of the speakers were conducting, and just before the show. So that was an even bigger opportunity. It was organized by Kevin Dixie, Carrie Sloan, Tony Simon. Tony was there. Cheryl Todd was there. Tim Knight, Rebecca Schmoy, and a few other people that were up and coming advocates or people that wanted to get involved in the community as well. So my wife and I got there. I'd never been to Washington, D.C., so it was a big experience for me just all together. So we got there a day early just to be able to check out the Capitol, all that. Next day, we got up early, went to that breakfast, and it was kind of a life-changing experience. It definitely was for me, because it was one of those moments where, you know, they always tell you don't meet your heroes. Well, I actually got to meet my heroes, and I wasn't disappointed by them, and which a lot of people can't say. And it was just fantastic to sit in a room with a lot of people that were just like my wife and I, that were up and coming, that wanted to know, you know, so many people asked that question, what can I do? And finally, we were there pretty much living that answer with a lot of people that were, you know, in the industry, in advocacy, in this fight for a lot of years already. And then they took us under their wing, and they really made us feel welcome. And we all walked together. We walked to the rally, and I can tell you that about halfway through the rally, my wife was there pretty much supporting me, but she turned to me and she said, I don't just want to support you anymore. I want to be an equal partner in this. I want my voice to be heard. And she was inspired by a lot of the women that she saw there too. And so that was a fantastic experience. Got to hang out with a lot of people after the rally. I know we ended up at a bar at the end of the night, and I was there with Tony, Argo J, Rob was there, Todd Fosse, a few other people, and it was just great to be in the room with a lot of people that we really respected, and you know, we got to pick their brains, and they got to share a lot of stories with us, and I think it was hugely inspirational for us, and I think we were really fortunate for the experience. And pretty much everything that's come after the last year has been kind of a whirlwind, despite the fact with COVID and everything that happened with that a lot of our plans got canceled. But man, it's been a great ride, and we really do feel welcome here. And one of the things that we noticed was that if in case nobody's noticed already, you know, I'm Puerto Rican Pistolero. We're the Locked and Loaded Latinos. My wife is Latina Locked and Loaded, and we are in the Hispanic community. I'm Puerto Rican. My wife is half Dominican, half Colombian, so she's an immigrant. By being Puerto Rican, I'm by default a citizen because we're part of the United States. So we bring in kind of a different perspective that we didn't think it was a different perspective, but the more that we've gotten into things and we've gotten into the community, we were invited to SHOT Show with Argo J. We met him at the rally, and so he took us under his wing too, and kind of showed us the ropes. SHOT Show was a great, you know, that's like a holy grail kind of once in a lifetime experience, especially for somebody that's not in the industry like us. So that was great. We learned even more about, you know, just some of the things that we see in the industry. Got to see a diversity panel there with a lot of great people. Some of them, again, that were speakers here and that are going to be speakers at the rally. And it really let us know that that there's a Hispanic, that, you know, the Hispanic gun community is something that needs to grow and is something that's growing right now. We've seen it with the Black gun community with so many great advocates there like Tony, Kevin Dixie, Maj Toure, Coleon Noir, Argo J, all these great people. And we've seen, we haven't seen as much in the Latin community. We've got Ed Grantillon, Gabby from Top Shot, Gabby Franco, but there's not as many. So my wife and I have kind of unwittingly stepped into this, and we were lucky enough that after, I guess, people started talking about us or seeing us get involved in more events, Hank Strange invited us to his podcast a few times. And since so many things were canceled with COVID, my wife and I kind of asked ourselves, what can we do right now besides the social media stuff that we've gotten involved in to really make a difference in this community and maybe inspire not just other Latinos, but millennials, you know, who have a bad rap, obviously, when it comes to gun rights or freedom and things like that. and married couples themselves, they can see that this is something that you can do with your significant other, that you can get involved in. And so we were inspired to start a podcast ourselves. So we do one every Sunday, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback. And honestly, the best thing that we've gotten is messages from other people, even people that we feel that personally, when they tell us their stories, that they've done more for the Second Amendment and for the gun community than we have, just saying that they're inspired to see, to hear our voice and see something different. So that's really where we're at, what we're about. And the Second Amendment rally really helped. And obviously we're honored and blessed now to be speakers this year. And hopefully we and some of the other speakers can make that same impact that they made on us, on a lot of the new gun owners out there. So
that is such an awesome story. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks, John.
Are you seeing from people reaching out to you now that you have your podcast and you're on social media under Locked and Loaded Latinos? Are you seeing people from the Hispanic community reach out in greater numbers? I mean, have you seen any I don't even know how I want to say this. Has your circle of comments grown now that you and your wife are kind of out there more in the spotlight, and you're saying, hey, it's okay to be a gun owner, it's okay to be Latino, it's okay to be a Latino gun owner, just like that list of people that you mentioned within the Black community. Are you seeing more people, just regular Americans who are Latinos, reaching out to you and saying, hey, it's I've kind of felt like I shouldn't talk about this, and you've just inspired me to say, hey, I'm a gun owner, I'm a proud American too?
Yeah, we definitely have, especially my wife, being Hispanic and a woman, and she's in the healthcare industry. She's definitely seen a lot of receptive feedback. So we've definitely seen that. Originally, I'm always of that, I guess, kind of growing up, even though millennials have a bad rap, we kind of grew up, I guess you could say, almost blind to race and all these things. And that's how I was always brought up. My dad was in the military, and I was blessed to live in a few different countries and grow up in a lot of different regions. So I was never brought up with any of that animus in me. And so I was always reluctant to associate as, well, we're going to be the Latinos that do this, rather than we just want to inspire everybody. But I've seen that it does make a difference for some people, just to see somebody that, hey, they're from my background or they can speak my language. And we've definitely seen that reception from people who are new gun owners, or, just thought they could never own a gun because it was taboo within the culture, or up to people who are actually professional trainers, but they're not necessarily advocates. So they love to see somebody else that gets their voice out there, and they're like, hey, I've been training for years privately, but I've never necessarily put myself out there publicly the way that you guys have. And I really appreciate it. And that's been really inspiring, especially for us that, we just feel like we're a normal husband and wife couple. My wife works in the healthcare industry. I work in information technology. So we don't necessarily have a background in guns, that we were raised this way. We've owned guns for pretty much since we've been old enough to own them legally, but we kind of made our own path that way. And I think that that's another thing that inspires people, and that makes us easy to approach, because Joe and I we're pretty enthusiastic when it comes to firearms, and we try to show kind of a fun face to things. So when people talk about guns, we pretty much in the same tone of voice, we're like, hey, we own guns. Like, there's no problem. And people are like, you guys own guns? Like, no way, you're the nicest people in the world. And I was like, that doesn't have anything to do with owning guns. And we approach it sometimes so casually that people are disarmed, for lack of, to use the pun, they're so disarmed right away that they just want to know more, and they want to hear more about it. And that's kind of the positive approach that we've taken. Obviously, there are always going to be people that are negative and that troll you and that say bad things, especially we live in a pretty blue area that's anti-gun in South Florida. And with the Parkland tragedy, obviously, there's a lot of stigma with that, especially when it comes to, assault weapons and things like that. But I think we've made headway, and I think that we've seen a lot more people willing to come out of that closet, so to speak, in gun ownership in the Latin community and just in general.
That's very cool. That's actually sounds very similar to the story that Yehuda Reamer told here a couple months back when he was a guest within the Jewish community. I mean, it seems like it's taboo to be Jewish and own a gun, which anybody with a history book should not. I mean, that blows my mind that people in the Jewish community don't want to own guns. Why would you possibly not be armed? But I mean, I don't care. You can take the Jewish people out and just put people in a community, and I would still think in my mind, why would you possibly not want to be armed? That's just me. So
I think
if you read a history book, you
Yes.
go, why on
Yeah.
earth? would you
And I
not
know-
wanna-"
yeah, I've
Everyone-
heard, and I've heard from other Latinos too, and I know this, that it seems like, especially in Central and South America, the narrative is that the only people that own guns are the criminals or cartels or the government that's oppressing you. And I don't know what it is, and obviously it's something that we try to work on to convince people. I don't know what it is where they can't see that tool that's used to oppress you can also be turned around to be your tool of liberation. The tool itself is inert. Anybody can use it. It's anybody can wield it. So I don't know where this kind of mental block comes in. That's like, well, they use it against me, I can't possibly use it against them. It's like, no, you definitely can. That's the whole purpose. It's supposed to level the playing field and to be a game changer. So it doesn't mean that you'll always win, but you can definitely, defend yourself. It's a force multiplier and something that may even lead to the point where it's like, you know what? Do I really want to oppress these people? Because if I do, so many of them own firearms that it's going to be a really bad day if I try to do this. So I'm going to have to slow my roll here for a second.
No, that's really cool. You just made me think of a quote from the movie Shane, which if you're not into old Westerns, you probably haven't seen Shane. But there's a scene in there where the movie's about a gunfighter who shows up and doesn't want his past to catch up with him, but it does. I mean, that's most Western movies. But he's talking to the wife of the family who takes him in and lets him stay there. And he had been showing their son, their boy, how to shoot, and the mom came out and didn't really like that because they were a family who, I think they had a shotgun maybe for hunting, and that would have been about it. But he was explaining, and the quote here says, a gun is a tool, Marion, no better or no worse than any other tool, an axe, a shovel, or anything. A gun is as good or as bad as the man using it. Remember that. And so what you just said made me think about that, because that's very true. It really is. It's a tool. And it can be a very effective tool as long as it's used safely and responsibly, just like an axe or a chainsaw or, your voice or a pen. Any of those things are tools, right? And the main thing is to learn how to use it responsibly and use it correctly. So that's very, very cool. I'm glad you said that. All right. So we have actually had time for all of our guests to speak a little bit here. So I'm just going to introduce the two people that we have in the panel here who are regulars. I call them usual suspects. So we've got Pat and Ashley, although it looks like just Pat right now. But earlier in the night, the whole family, or part of the whole family, was there on the camera. So that was very cool. So Pat, thanks for joining us tonight. And I'm just going to give you a chance to not only say hi, but if you want to add anything or ask anything to any of the panelists, go ahead and unmute yourself there and go ahead. We'll just let you talk.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I've seen Rod and I've seen Big Tony out there before, and great guys. I wanted to put a question to the Puerto Rican pistolero. So when exactly did you and your wife, was there any kind of defining moment or anything that really just slingshotted you into being a 2A advocate, as far as like I don't want to sound like, everybody else, but was there a defining moment or something that actually just put you right into that, and you're like, just smacked you right across the face and just said, whoa, this is what I really, really want to do?
I think Parkland was the first one that kind of pushed us into moving towards getting more active and vocal about things, and knowing that the Second Amendment isn't just for self-defense or for fun and going out on the range. It's something that we actually have to protect ourselves. And but I know for my wife, it really was the rally, seeing other people talk about their experiences and things like that. And I think it's just it's been a culmination of kind of those two events. We've owned guns, like I said, I'm 33 now, so pretty much since I was 21, and I could buy a handgun in Florida. I've owned firearms. My wife and I have been together for almost 10 years now. So she jumped on the bandwagon with me pretty much as soon as we started dating. I taught her how to shoot, and she loved it from the first time that she went out. But I would say that's really what catalyzed us here. Seeing a state, Florida was always known as the gunshine state, and seeing them so quickly just cave, even with an all Republicans, even the super majority. You can see the thunderstorms out there. Hopefully my power won't go out. That was pretty close by. But yeah, just seeing that just really changed everything. And I think a lot of gun owners are like that. My wife and I always kind of harp on this on the podcast, that we as advocates or even enthusiasts are a minority within a minority. And there's 160 probably million gun owners out there, not including all the new ones we got. The NRA represents only 5 million of them. And so even the NRA is an extreme minority within all gun owners. So sometimes you have to take that into focus and realize where you are, what you're doing, and the diversity of thoughts that it would take. The NRA is shown as the boogeyman a lot of times, but if they only have 5 million out of 160 million gun owners, even they don't have that much influence as people think. So it's really up to us to get inspired and to really do that. And that's the other thing that we've seen, that not all gun owners are advocates or even understand what the Second Amendment is. So that's another important thing.
Yeah, we've even seen recently that there's now a group of gun owners who are anti-2A advocates that are kind of popping up, which it's disheartening, but I mean it's not that surprising. Not
Okay. If I can ask one more question, just to Tony out there, how has all the shoots and everything been going this year? And as far as women, men, diversity, just everything, how's it all been going? I just kind of want a little update.
Can't do any in Jersey because of the restrictions on range capacity. So that what happened is a range in Pennsylvania reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you like to host them here? We're wide open in PA." So I was like, "Yes." And I usually do them every other month at Gun for Hire Range in Woodland Park in New Jersey. And because of the lost time, I've been doing them every month since September in Pennsylvania, just trying to get people in, to get them to realize they're on again. They're just across the border. And as far as the people that come, wide variety of people. We had people drive from the Brooklyn across New Jersey and into Pennsylvania just to come to this event. Different races, different backgrounds. So it's pretty cool. And then I've had Hold My Guns, Sarah Ulbrich, she came out and she actually introduced people, and she brought friends of different backgrounds to the place. So it grows, and it grows quickly. And like, again, one of the guys that came to the first one, he'd never been before. Much like Rollo, he wanted to get into advocacy and didn't know how. So he came to my event, and day after tomorrow, he's bringing his mother-in-law over because he thinks she needs to actually have this conversation with gun owners and see that they're not the bugaboos that her news media tells her. So that's how we grow. We grow organically. We just have to do it. We have to get out, and we have to welcome people as individuals and not come with preconditions ourselves. We have to reach out, and not just reach out 50%, not reach out halfway. We have to reach out 60% and understand that these people don't have to have the same background as us. They don't have to leave as our little clones. They can still have their core beliefs. We can just introduce them to firearms and let them come to their own ideas. But once you start showing people that they're being lied to, they'll figure out the rest on their own. You just guide them. I don't have to shove you. I'll just show you the way.
Tony, do you see anybody showing up that is like really anti-gun? Like they're going there with like a chip on their shoulder just to prove that you guys are all crazy nut jobs, and then they, whether or not their mind gets changed. I mean, do people show up ever with that chip on their shoulder?
Rare, but yes, we've had people show up going in no matter what. You gun nuts. And before it's over, they're agreeing with us on some stuff. They're in the range poking holes in paper. And they come back out and go, well, I didn't think of things that way. And you're not who I expected. And it's not just me. I mean, I have, friends of mine. And this is the kind of annoying thing because people can't get past the superficial diversity. So it's a little annoying because my friends are my friends. I don't have my Asian friends and my Hispanic friends. They're just my friends that come to the event to volunteer. But when that person who's anti-gun comes in and expects to see the place just full of, it looks like a casting call for hee-haw, and it's not, and you have a entire Latino family over there. I'm sorry, Rob, if I offended you, and.
Look, as someone who once married one of the cast members of Hee Haw, I just want to say, you don't say it like it's a bad thing.
I forgot. Anyway.
Which one, Buck or Roy?
Oh. He was married to Roy.
It was Minnie Pearl. I know it was Minnie. It's okay. She's a sweetheart.
Minnie wouldn't have anything to do with it. So what happened is she was blown away by the diversity. So that knocked her off kilter. And then when we were really to have a conversation and when she started dropping almost tropes at this point and about not caring for children, and I'm like, my partner over there works for the Child Welfare Agency and rescues children every day. My friend over there is a doctor and he helps children every day. I'm like, and we have firearms to help protect our children. So it's like, but let's have this conversation because we're not going to attack you, but we want to tell us everything you think and let us talk about ourselves. And so you can see that's not true. And that's what happened. And she left there thoroughly confused because we shook her. We shook her core belief. And again, didn't try to change her mind, just told her who we were. And she can figure it out on her own. She's an adult.
Which is so cool. I love that passive approach. Not really passive, but that not in your face approach. And I think that's missing at some of the stuff. Now, going back to the rally, that the rally is going to be in your face. That's what it's about. It's not a passive thing. We've got so many different ways to get that message out there. The rally is really one of them. And I've said this before. I think I just said it last week again. But for me, having a two-way rally is kind of like if you grew up in a place, or maybe they still do, but if you're from a place where churches had tent revivals, where you put up a tent and you have one or two or more pastors come in and share the gospel. There's a lot of singing and praising and worshiping going on. And when you walk out of that tent, you are literally 110% charged up. You're on fire for the Lord. If you're a Christian, if you went to the revival, it's kind of the same way. Not everybody goes to those. I understand not everybody's a Christian. Not everybody goes to 2A rallies either. Not everybody's a pro 2A advocate or a pro 2A gun owner. But when you go to a rally, that's really what it's about. Is each one of those speakers is the message is designed to rile you up, whether in a good way or maybe even in a bad way, get you upset over something. But the message is there to wind everybody up and get everybody on fire and charge everybody up 110% to be pro 2A. That doesn't mean you're going to go, make your own rally. That doesn't mean that you're going to go start your own diversity shoot like Tony did. That doesn't mean that you're going to go start a podcast up. It just means that maybe you're a little bit more willing to talk to that person at the water cooler. Maybe you're just a little bit more willing to, just bring it up, at the coffee shop or whatever it is that, hey, the gun owners aren't bad people. But there are ways that we can, there are things that we can do if we're tired of losing our rights. There are things that we can do. And what I'd really like to see is some of the pro-gun people, the gun owners who are, they're pro 2A if you ask them, but really they're not advocates. And it's kind of like, well, I don't really care that they took away bump stocks because I wouldn't own the stupid thing anyway. It's a chunk of plastic that makes you waste too much ammo. I don't really care about, if they're going to ban assault weapons, because I use my double barrel shotgun to go shoot geese, or I'm only into sporting clays, or whatever it is. These are the people that I would love to reach. And I don't know how to do it because some of those people don't go to rallies. But if you go to a rally and then you run across one of these people, and I know that people are quick to slap them with the term FUD or whatever term you want to call it, but the point is that they're just not as willing to get out of their bubble, okay? But you got to understand that roughly 97% of the people in colonial America were not willing to get out of their bubble either, or not willing to do it publicly. And so that's okay. But if there's a way that we can we don't want to drag them kicking and screaming. We just want to kind of make them think about maybe expanding their bubble just a little bit. And if that's all that we can accomplish with a rally, where you're willing to go out and just talk to that one person that maybe you weren't going to talk to before, then again, that's what it's for. It's not about changing things and carving the Grand Canyon overnight. It's about adding more raindrops into this river so that we can get more done as a whole.
I think one of the mistakes a lot of us make when you're talking about advocacy is you think you're going to talk to every FUD in the state.
Yeah.
You think you're going to have that conversation with every one of them. No, what you do is make inroads to someone that knows you.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, regardless, because then when stuff happens, like in New Jersey, when the governor has an entire list of fees he's going to add on to firearms licensing, regardless of what kind of gun you buy, all of a sudden that group of people is upset and they want to speak out. And then all of a sudden a couple of friends you've made become that bridge to you that gets those people over to a 2A rally, or at least to come to an event like mine and learn about Second Amendment advocacy and how they can help, because now it's their nose on the grindstone too. All of a sudden now they want to be involved, but you have to build those bridges. You're not going to get a whole community over. Just open some inways for yourself in those groups. That's one of the reasons I'm going to work on getting my hunting license, which is not really hard, but just to get involved, because I'm missing that entire section of people coming to my diversity shoot, and I just have to make inroads.
And speaking of hunting, if anybody ever wants to join me for a cool Nebraska deer hunt where we have real deer that are big, I mean, come on out to Nebraska, Tony or Rob or Rolo, any of you. Pat and Defense Dad are both in Nebraska. I don't have to invite them, but well, if you want to get into hunting, just come on out, man. I'll take you.
Well, I live in Jersey, so I usually hunt with a car. Don't the bigger deers do more damage when they run out in front of you?
They do. The trick is you can actually use a gun. And actually that brings up a point I'm not going to blast Armament and Axes. He's a friend here too, but I'm going to put this up on the screen because I want to address this. Double A says these are the people that need to totally understand the right for them to own that gun has absolutely nothing to do with hunting. Now that's partially true, but I want to respectfully disagree because I'm going to exercise my 2A rights to own the rifle that I'm going to use when I go deer hunting here in a few weeks. And I'm going to hopefully bring 2 new hunters into the fold and get them hooked on it. My nephews up in South Dakota have never gone deer hunting. They're 12 and 14. And they wanted to go, and I said I would take them because their dad's not a hunter, and neither is anybody else from their family. I'm married into their family, and so I said, yeah, if you can get the time off school and your mom and dad are okay with it, then I will take you. You guys, they had already passed. Both of them had passed their hunter safety courses, so they have their certificates. They've been through it. I know they know what to do, what not to do. I know they've been around firearms, so we're not going to have to start from square one here with safety or any of that. They've learned it. So we'll just go out and we're going to apply it practically in the real world now. But the 2A is not, it wasn't originally put into the Constitution. The Second Amendment wasn't in case the deer rise up against us. That's true. And the fact that in order to keep the state free, then we do need a well-regulated militia, which doesn't mean that we have to slap them with regulations. Regulated means working correctly, smoothly, in the sense that it was put into the Second Amendment. So that means that, yes, we need citizens who are ready and willing and trained to take up their long guns, their rifles, whatever it is, and go and help out the military should the need arise, but they're not actual full-time military people. Yes, that is what the Second Amendment is all about. But because we have the Second Amendment, there are so many benefits: hunting, sport shooting, self-defense, home defense, collecting, antiquities and things like that, and just investing. All of these still fall under that umbrella. And without the Second Amendment, none of these are possible. In fact, here a while back, I was listening to an episode of Gun Freedom Radio with Cheryl Todd, where they had Ashley Hlebinski, who is former curator at the Cody Firearms Museum, and she's still working with them and for them, but not in that capacity. But she was talking about some of the hoops that they have to jump through as a museum. And they've actually got certain states where they could not move that museum if they had to, because they would be in violation of federal laws with some of the things that are in that museum. And people don't think about that. These are all reasons why we want to preserve and protect the Second Amendment, not only in case the government decides that it wants to get a little bigger than it's supposed to and do things that it shouldn't be doing. These are all things that fall under that umbrella, and they're all benefits that we enjoy because we have this Second Amendment in place. So having said that, and I'm just going to open it up, we won't go around the horn, but does anybody, in defense that I haven't forgot about you, we're going to get you. But does anybody have anything that they want to add, whether you agree with AA or with me or disagree with me? Feel free, any of you, to speak up.
I agree with you. I think it's important to understand, I think, where people are coming from, like on anything, right? Even if I know I disagree with them, like agreeing, that whole agree to disagree thing, like I don't do that. And people throw that out in the comments or in the middle of some would-be argument online. I tell them, like, I don't really do that. I'm not interested in agreeing or disagreeing. Honestly, I want to understand you, and I want you to understand me. And then whether we agree or not is incidental. So if I know there are people out there who are gun owners who don't agree with me on a whole bunch of different things, right? And there's people out there that are gun owners that I don't agree with about a whole bunch of things. And I'm talking about inside the gun community. I'm not talking about religion or tacos. I'm talking about like inside the gun stuff, right? Under the gun umbrella. But that's okay, right? So I think, like I said earlier, something about, don't throw your rifle over your shoulder and go to Starbucks and think you're helping the cause. I just don't believe in that tactic. I don't believe in that methodology of, kind of confrontational, in your face, open carry. But I don't think it should be illegal, right? And unfortunately, we've been conditioned in the gun community to be so like fear, the fear mongering that for decades, kind of in some ways, as you said, kind of use the tent revival, like it might get you upset about something, right? So the fear mongering and the UN's going to invade and take our guns kind of stuff that isn't going to happen, was never going to happen. Won't happen. Like if like that fear mongering, if you really think that's happening, well, then when someone who's supposed to be your ally says, well, I don't think that you should do this with a gun, the immediate defense is, oh, you want to take away my right to do that. Well, it's completely different, right? So I think just because somebody says, like, I'm all about hunting, and that's really all I care about, like, cool, that's your way of celebrating the Second Amendment. And you would, I'm assuming, defend your right to use a gun to hunt, right? And you're not just talking about bow hunting, right? But you're talking about gun hunting. Like, you would, there's a point where you'll get pushed. There's other people who literally think I'm attacking gun rights because I say I don't think you should go to Starbucks with an AR over your shoulder, right? And everybody's got a different line. So I am all about like tolerating that without necessarily supporting it or liking it. I can tolerate it and I can respect somebody's right to do it. And if it's not resonating like yet, the example I always use is like I'm a personal defense guy, right? So my primary bottom line is education about personal defense, specifically armed personal defense or defending your family, those you care about with a gun. So that's where you're going to get my advice. So if somebody asks me about, just forget about confrontational political open carry, just open carry in general, I'm like, nope, you're not there to deter crime, or like maybe there was some guy that might rob the Waffle House, but he's not going to because you're wearing your gun openly. Not your job, not what I'm into. I want to help you defend yourself and people you care about with that gun. And you can do that better if the gun, you're not wearing, showing all your cards, right? And all the other things that it potentially opens up. If I were a financial advisor, that doesn't mean I think it should be illegal, right? If I were a financial advisor, you can go sell all your stuff. You can sell everything you own, cash in your 401ks, whatever, sell your kids like cookie jar full of coins or whatever, get it cashed in, and go buy lottery tickets this Wednesday in the hope that you will become the $120 million winner, multimillionaire, 120 times over, and retire and have yachts. But no financial advisor in the world is going to tell you that's a good idea. That doesn't mean they think it should be illegal for you to do it, right? And we just need to, I think, sometimes tone it down a notch and say, okay, just because someone disagrees with something I happen to like about guns or my focus about guns doesn't mean they're anti-gun. One of the things I just put in the chat was, well, who's talked to anybody that signed up with this Giffords group, right? This 2A for gun control, or gun owners for 2A and control, or whatever it is, whatever their thing is. Who's talked to one? Like, who's met one? Who's had a conversation with one? Because the NRA's 5 million number is made up. It's not real. They don't have 5 million active members. How do I know that? Why do I say it so confidently? Because dead people still get the magazines as part of their life membership. And they've never explained how they would ever cleanse their rolls. And the number just keeps going up. I'm going to the NRA annual members meeting on Saturday. I expect about 200 people there, max, that aren't there because they are on the board or work for the NRA. I've been to NRA board meetings that all members can attend where I was literally the only one. So 1 out of 5 million members showed up. There's not really 5 million members, certainly aren't 5 million active members. So I don't think there's 50,000 gun owners that are like rah-rahing on the Giffords group, but maybe there are, and I'd love to talk to one of them. So if any of you are out there listening, let me know, because I'm super curious about the thought process and where you are on that. And I'm not going to tell you you're a FUD and you're a traitor and leave me alone unless after the end of the conversation, I want to be left alone and I think you're a FUD and traitor.
Nope, very cool stuff. Anybody else have anything they want to throw out there as far as anything that I said or that Rob said? All right, and if nobody does, then we're going to move over to defense stat. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the things Rob said is sometimes we have to understand everybody is not where you at. Everyone is not to the level that you see yourself at. So maybe they just got their gun. Maybe they're one of the new 5 million people that just purchased a firearm. Dude, they just learned there's a difference between 9mm Luger and 9mm Makarov. And you're talking about, we need to repeal the NFA. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I don't even like football. And it's like, no, dude, NFA, not NFL. It's like they have no idea what you're talking about. So we need to chill out a little bit and quit demanding that they go from 0 to 100. It's like it took you a while to get there too, more than likely, and it may take them a process. Give them time. Don't be so rah-rah that they go, I don't really ever want to come back and hang out with these people because they're too nuts. You know what I mean? We frighten people off with that too. So that's all I wanted to say. Sometimes you have to chill out. And oh yeah, by the way, stop taking yourself so seriously sometimes. For reals. It's a little embarrassing.
And just for the record, I have not watched NRA football in a long time. I don't like the way that they're all kneeling now, but that's just me. Wait, I get the initials mixed up again.
Yeah.
I really don't watch pro football though. Not because of the kneeling. I haven't for really ever, because I just never had a team that I gravitated to. So yeah. I got some stuff going on over the side chat. Rob, don't leave when we're done here because I want to talk to you about that. But the answer to that question is yes. Super, super easy. There's not even a draw. So anyway, Rob and I are going to talk hunting when we're all done here. We won't bore everybody on the chat with it tonight because that's not the topic of the night. But it's going to be coming up before November firearm season, because that's what I like to do every year, is have just a deer hunting conversation. So that's coming sometime here in the next few weeks before, I think 14th is the opening day. So sometime probably the Tuesday before that'll happen. Anyway, Defense Dad's been waiting very patiently to have a go and be able to talk to our guests and everybody else out there. So coming to us from the capital city, Lincoln, Nebraska. Defense Dad, how are you? Who are you? Why should people know you? Where can they find you? And then you can have the floor after that.
Well, just thanks for having me. Basically, I hopped on tonight just to listen to everybody, and I just wanted to thank all these guys for all the stuff they do for advocacy. I can't imagine the time it takes out of your personal lives. I struggle enough just trying between work and trying to help the kiddo with homework and getting her out to the range. So hats off to you guys. As far as me, I've got a small channel. I just put a new video out tonight, but mainly just really wanted to hop on and say thanks to you guys for all you guys do.
Nope, that's very cool. And then what Defense Dad is kind of new into the YouTube world. Your journey started not that long ago. So for those of the people both listening, there's some new folks out in the live chat tonight. We've got Tim Knight out there actually hanging out with us, which is very cool. Welcome, Tim. And if you have anything you want to say, I haven't got your email, but I'm betting some of the people on the panel do. So if Tim has anything to say, you sure can get a link to the room if you want to, and we'll find a way to shuffle people around here a little bit. But Defense Dad, do you just want to kind of give your story a little bit of how the channel started, why you decided to start doing the things that you're doing, and then kind of just how your journey has gone since then?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I started my channel about 1.5 years ago. Quite honestly, not too long after I purchased my first firearm. For those of you who haven't heard my story, I grew up shooting, had access to guns, just never personally owned one. I was into other stuff, but about a little over 2 years ago now, there was a couple attempted kidnapping attempts of young girls within 1.5 miles. One of them was 6 or 8 blocks from my house. So that's when I finally decided it's time to start doing something about it and being able to protect my own family and learning how to do it. In doing so, I decided to try to help other people out there getting new into firearms and protect their families, how to learn, from some of the mistakes that I made to save themselves some money, and hopefully learn what they can do to protect their families too. And it just kind of snowballed from there and having fun with it. But that's still really the point of my channel, is to help other people newer to it to get into it, get involved, and be able to protect their own families.
That's very awesome. And you can go check out Defense Dad's channel for all kinds of cool stuff, some range stuff and some review stuff a little bit, and then also just some fun stuff. And he's even had Defense Daughter participate in a video or two now, which is very cool as well. So I really liked it was the national anthem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That she sang, and you posted that up. That was awesome. Yep. So make sure that you let her know that she's got a couple fans, because she's pretty cool. So, all right. With that, we've gone 1.5 hours. I think that's about as long as probably I need to tie up anybody tonight. So we're going to go ahead and just let everybody kind of wrap things up. If there are any other comments or questions, now is your time. Last call for comments out there in the chat or questions that we need to ask. And unless Tim wants to jump in and talk a little bit, we will just kind of wrap things up. So we're going to go back around the horn and just let everybody, any final words that you want to throw out there. And then as well, final thoughts about the rally, and then other stuff that people can be looking for that is coming along as well. So we'll just kind of back things around, and we'll start with the guests, but we'll go backwards now. So Rolando, we'll start with you. Any final thoughts, anything you want to do? And then again, where can people find you? We always want to end with that.
Well, first of all, thanks again for having me on. It's really been a pleasure. Again, a year ago, I never would have seen myself here with you folks, and have gotten to meet the people that I've gotten to meet, my wife and I, the experiences that we've shared. And I know there are definitely things that are going to affect us for the rest of my life, of our lives now. So we're really appreciative of that. You can find me at Puerto Rican Pistolero on all the major social media platforms. In the chat, you can see I was using Locked and Loaded Latinos. That is my wife and I's kind of our brand, if you want to call it that. You can find us at Locked and Loaded Latinos on YouTube. We have our live show every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. A few of our guests here tonight were guests on that show, on our show as well. So, we kind of run in the same circles, and hopefully we'll have some new perspectives thrown out there too soon with some other Latinos in the gun community and manufacturing and things like that maybe some people haven't heard of. So
you betcha.
yeah,
Now,
that's where you can find us. Thanks
most
again.
social media, you're Puerto Rican Pistolero, and then your wife has her own social media accounts. So
Yes.
where can people find her if they want to find Johanna?
Yes. She's Latina Locked and Loaded with the letter N and not an ampersand.
Okay, so go check both of these cool folks out and see what they're doing in their lives as well. And make sure you subscribe to Locked and Loaded Latinos on YouTube and check out the podcast every Sunday night. I've caught not enough of them. There's just not enough hours in the day. I know too many people now with podcasts and weekly stuff, but or more than weekly. Sometimes it's daily, and I just don't have I got to quit my job if I'm going to watch everything I want to watch every day. And that's probably not going to happen at this point. However, go check everybody out. And I have caught a few of those on Sunday nights and they're very cool. And so now if I make a comment, you'll actually know who the heck I am. Maybe you'll recognize the name next time. So thanks for being here, Rolando. And then we'll move over to Tony and let you wrap anything up you want to wrap up. And then again, where people can find you.
All right. Well, again, like I said, the Second is for Everyone Diversity Shoot is something we're doing every month in PA. And if you want to support us, even if you don't live in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, you can donate at diversityshoot.com. I also have a podcast, which I call the 2A4E podcast, which is the Second is for Everyone podcast. It's a weekly podcast that I put out once a month. Because time gets away from me, and that's what happens. But I'm on a better schedule now. And we're trying to knock this out. What else? Oh, right now I have a little contest going with t-shirts called the Lovetron t-shirt. So if you go on Diversity Shoot, you can see the t-shirt. And the funds from that goes to a couple of different Second Amendment groups. See the t-shirt Rolo's wearing right now? There you go. That shirt right there. We have a contest. I hooked up with my friend Ursula Williams over at Center Mass Podcast. She contacted Troy Industries and Epic Eyewear, and with the groups that I work with, and we're putting together 3 prize bags. So send me a picture of you with that shirt on. Again, you can order shit on diversityshoot.com, and we'll pick 3 winners, and you're going to get some really cool gifts from Troy and Epic Eyewear. But my whole thing is to get people involved in the Second Amendment and do whatever I need to do, bring you in a friendly, inclusive environment. That's the point. That's what we have to do. As Second Amendment advocates, that's the easy part. We have the fun thing to do. Everybody else is telling you not to do something. We're like, hey, want to go shoot guns? It's fun. and that is the easy part that we have to do, is the shooting of the guns. The other part is meeting people who maybe don't believe in the same God you do, and have the same sexual orientation you do, be a different race and have a different background than you do. But we all know we hang out with people all the time that are different at the gun range. Now is time to bring them in and just talk about the politics side of it, the advocacy side. Again, I don't need you to change parties, but maybe I can get you to start looking and being more of a Second Amendment based voter. That's all. I don't need you to swing over here. Let's just talk about this one subject. And is it important enough to you to vote for it? Let's start there. All right. That's it. Again, diversityshoot.com. If you want to see me on Facebook, it's Second is for Everyone. Instagram is Simon Says Train. Thanks a lot.
Tony, thanks for being here. You are awesome. All right, Rob, again, anything you want to throw out there as far as final thoughts, and then where can people find you? You do just myriad things, so it's going to be a long list.
Got a lot of things going on. Yeah. So basically, if you want to talk to me, hit me up, whether it's Facebook on a private message or, an email. I still use that every once in a while, although honestly, like at this point, email is basically a carrier pigeon. I don't do it all that much, but if we have a conversation and you need my phone number, you'll end up texting me instead of calling me, because I spend a lot of time just, kind of multitasking, multiple conversations during the day on a lot of different topics. We're talking 2A Rally a lot this week. It's obviously what we're talking about today, but I'm also on the board of Walk the Talk America, where we talk a lot about mental health and guns. I'm the executive vice president of Second Amendment Organization, a grassroots gun rights advocacy group that tries to develop people's ability to have articulate and critically thought out conversations, be objective, kind of a lot of the things that the rally is trying to accomplish, a lot of the things we talked about tonight, a lot of the things that Tony's doing, things that Rollo's talking about, what he did in terms of just kind of owning his truth and speaking out, and even some of the hesitation he had in terms of when he says, and I've heard him say this before, like, we didn't really want to be, the poster children for the Latin community and the gun community, but that's really important, right? It's really important that someone is that someone says, yeah, this is okay. And it doesn't mean that's all you are, right? Same thing with me. Just because I happen to own IC Training Company and be the director of Personal Defense Network, and that's really my primary job in the community and has been for 20 years now, that doesn't limit what I do. I also get involved in the advocacy and the philanthropy and all that other stuff. So yeah, I'm involved in a whole bunch of different things. Again, you can kind of find me through any of those organizations or on any of the social medias. At Pincus Rob is usually what it is. I'm going to be active in the chat here in a minute. I'm having a little chitty chat with Seven Wonders, answer his questions, maybe more than he wants in a minute, because this happens a lot, right? Like somebody shows up and you're like, I don't really know who you are, but I heard this. And so I'm going to answer at least one of his questions. I might answer both his questions. And then, because it's important to engage that conversation, right? And I think that's one of the problems we have in the community sometimes is people will not want to engage in the conversation. It goes back to what I said before, right? You've got to be able to understand, right? And then you can decide whether you agree or disagree. Because if you already said you don't agree with somebody, or you've already said I agree with somebody just because of some little tiny piece of information, your opinion probably isn't worth that much. Everybody's got an opinion. Some are worth a lot more than others. So that's what I really kind of get passionate about with this thing, right? How do we get better? How do we evolve? Right? Well, we ask why, we challenge our own assumptions, ask ourselves why. When you talk about that mirror, I don't ever look in the mirror and wonder if what I'm doing is worth it. I wonder if what I'm doing is right. If I'm doing it the best way, if I should have done it that way, if there's a better way to do it tomorrow, like those are my mirror questions, right? So asking why I'm doing it or why somebody else is doing it or why does somebody disagree with me? I'm going to ask Seven Wonders why he thinks I would vote for Biden, right? Because that's nonsensical to me, except it sort of makes sense because it's exactly what I was talking about earlier, where because I am critical of Trump and because I will readily say Trump is not the hero of the Second Amendment. He did not pay back American gun owners for the votes he got in 2016. He did not pay back American gun owners for the $50 million that came out of the gun community, 30 million of it spent by the NRA, when he had 2 years to do anything, including repeal the NFA if he wanted to. He didn't want to, wasn't a thing. I get it. Does that mean all of a sudden I support Biden? No, that's an infantile conclusion to come to, right? It just doesn't make any sense to assume that I must support Biden because I will speak truth about Trump, right? I'd so much rather have a Trump who at least isn't overtly attacking us rather than a Biden-Harris who are going to come out after us. Now, I don't get to pick how the election works out, so I think it's important that we all going into this election have a plan. A plan other than, oh my gosh, they're going to take all our guns and we're not going to have guns anymore if Biden wins, because I don't think that's going to be true either. Because I heard it about Clinton and I heard the one that actually was president and I heard it about Obama and it didn't happen. I don't think it's going to happen with Biden either, but we're going to be in for a fight. So get ready to fight, get your game faces on. And guess what? We're still going to have to fight if Trump wins, because look at the last 4 years, right? We lost more in the last 4 years than we did under 8 in Obama. So we've got to fight no matter what. That fight on November 3rd is voting, I think, to keep the Senate more than anything else. That's where we're going to get the biggest wins there. Because right now, if we lose the Senate and we lose the White House, what you see is 2021, this time next year, voting on gun control. We're going to see worse gun control go into effect in 2022 than I saw in 1994 when the assault weapons ban federal went into effect. It's going to get challenged. It's going to end up in the Supreme Court. And by 2030, it's all going to be overturned, including a whole bunch of state laws are going to get undone. But that's a long way to go for a win. So I think keep the Senate, vote your heart, vote your truth, vote your passion. I get that not everybody's a one-issue voter. I'm not a one-issue voter. That doesn't mean I support Biden. So perspective.
There's not an issue in my mind that I could ever see supporting Biden on. I don't think he's ever said anything that I really even agree with, and I've tried to pay attention. He probably has said a few things. I definitely don't. I don't disagree with. Come on, man. It's about the one thing that I've heard him say. But no, and I think now two things from that. We talked about President Trump and whether or not he's pro-gun here just a couple weeks ago. We had Amanda Suffolcool with us and a really good panel, and I think it was a great conversation. So anybody that wants to go back and find, I think it was episode probably 45, 46, something like that. This is number 48. So it was just a couple weeks ago. Go check that out. And then next week, I think we're just going to have a conversation about the upcoming election, because we'll probably take election night off. Nobody's going to be paying attention to us. Everybody's going to be watching coverage anyway. And I'm not going to do a live stream the coverage type of a thing that night. So we may take that night off. We'll see what happens there. But I think next week we're just going to talk about how important it is to get out and vote. And then again, just more things. And I've talked about some of them before, but just to kind of go over, this isn't just a presidential election. Like Rob said, holding the Senate is key. We definitely don't want to see more states turn into Virginia where voters just didn't care. And especially the conservative and the gun owning voters just didn't seem to turn out and do their jobs. And I think if they had, then Virginia would have been a little bit different outcome a year ago. And we don't want to see more states have that happen. So remember your recent history. Remember Virginia when you go to the voting booth. But that's why it's so important. It's not just a presidential election. It's not just the Senate. It's not just the House. I'd love to take back the House with some Republicans too, and where we can actually get things done instead of 4 more years of wasting my money. I don't even like paying taxes to begin with. Then I see the stupidity and the asinine thing that's being wasted on, and all that money for all these investigations plus an impeachment, and the man's still running for president and still can get 4 more years because impeached or not, he hasn't left. So that was a waste of everybody's time and money, and they could have just as well have been passing laws that would actually do the country some good, or getting rid of some laws that are stupid. They could have been listening to us, their constituents, and been doing their job. That's what I think. So we're going to talk about all that, but the state level, the state legislature is huge. The governor races that are up right now are huge. Even locally, again, your county commissioners and all that. We're going to get into that a little bit more this next week as well, but everybody needs to kind of be paying attention. And a good friend of mine, or becoming a good friend now through all this, and Rob had brought him up before, but Paul Lathrop, his opinion is different than mine, and he thinks that if you don't know who you're going to vote for by now, then maybe you should just not throw a vote for somebody that you don't know what you're doing. I think that it's never too late to go do the research. It's not that hard to look people up, and especially the presidential election. If you don't know who you're voting for president, you should probably start doing some homework. It's not too late, but just make an informed decision. I don't want people just going and checking a box, and I don't think you should base your vote on the letter behind the name. But at the same time, make sure you're voting for the right person. There's still time to find out who that is. And so
I have to vote for Biden because I want to be black.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't don't know that, well, did he say that if you don't vote for him, or if you don't know who you're voting for?
Yeah, whatever. I'm just to be on the safe side. I don't want to get kicked out the club.
Wait a minute.
I know all the dances now. I know all the music.
I think it was both, wasn't it?
Well,
I don't know. I put a lot of work in being this black dude thing, and I really don't want to throw it all away because I didn't vote for him by accident and lose the blackness on a technicality. So yeah, that's just. I'm sorry.
It's okay, Tony. Apparently, I'm not even supposed to eat Goya foods anymore, or something like that. So I can't keep up with the rules anymore.
I'm curious. Can anybody set me straight on this one? Because I know who I'm voting for. So am I black? I'm just wondering. Does that? Anyway, we'll let the jury just deliberate on that for a while. I'm just curious.
What the hell is going on? What happened? I looked down at my phone, I was in the chat, and I looked back up, and I don't know what's happening anymore.
Well, we're past we're past all the
2 hours.
serious stuff. So
If you're gone 2 seconds, you're gone too long.
all right, this is what happens when you're in the chat. That's why I try not to do too much typing out there, because when I do that, then I lose track of what's being said, and that's why I've got my beautiful bride she's doing all the typing. So if there's anything that's really important, she points it out to me.
I get the idea that we're supposed to have a preference. Like if we had to vote right now, I'm actually going to vote next week when I get back down to Florida. And the early voting just opened up Monday, but I was back here in Denver by then. So I'm going to vote next week. But like either one of these guys, I'm not saying I hope it happens. I'm saying either one of these guys might not be around like to take office. So at this point, like we need to I would keep all the options open until you're going to vote, right? How could you not? Like, something could happen. If you can't admit that something could happen that would make you choose someone other than one of those top 2 picks, let alone, the one of those top 2 picks that you already have in mind, if you can't accept the reality of the world we live in, that something could happen to change your mind, I worry about your vote. Like, get one, that's cool. Like, I'm not going to say we should take it away. You should have to take a test, but come on, like you have to be open to the concept. So why not take all the information in you can and wait until that last minute, which for me will be the last day in Florida before November 3rd. That's when I'm going to vote.
There you go.
No, I'm voting in the morning, actually. I work the election polls, so we have the ballots we send in because you can't be running around back and forth trying to get from the polling place to where your polling place is and then back. So, yeah, we mail ours in every year.
That makes sense.
I voted this morning. I voted at lunch today.
I haven't yet. I don't think that we're going to have any long lines or anything. I've never had to stand in line to vote here. So I still plan on just doing it on November 3rd.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm out because I got a 4 a.m. wake up. So I got
Holy
like
smokes.
4 hours of sleep. All right. So thanks a lot
Tony,
for having me on the show. See you guys. Hope I'm on again soon. And hopefully some of you guys see us Saturday.
Cool. Yep. And go check out the diversityshoot.com for the times and the dates. Hope it goes well for you this week. We'll be praying for that. Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Tony, for being on. Appreciate it.
Right.
Take care, Tony. Always good seeing you, buddy.
He's a cool guy. All right. So, Pat, we'll give you a chance to throw out any final thoughts and any wrapping up that you want to do there.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks for having me on tonight. And thanks for everybody on the panel tonight. It was really good conversation tonight. And I want to do one little shameless plug for another person that's been on here for all the 5 million new gun owners and everything, or just new gun owners in general. John Petrolino's Decoding Firearms right here. It's really good book. I've actually I bought a couple copies and give it to some new gun owners and some new shooters that have approached me and my brother about shooting and stuff. And yes, it's just a very good book for the beginner and just the basics. And it's just a good refresher course too, on top for anybody that owns a firearm. So I just want to thank everybody again. Rod and the Puerto Rican Pistolero, thank you very much for being on. Defense Dad and John, thank you for having me on tonight. Appreciate it. Always a good conversation.
You bet. Thanks for being here. All right. And then last but not least on the panel, we've got Defense Dad. Anything that you want to add and then wrap up, and any shameless plugs that you want to make? Now's the time.
Oh, just thanks again for having me. Like I said, it's been a month, but I finally posted a video in response to Travis P11's call out. So check it out. But yeah, just thanks for having me. And that's about it.
I got called out in that same video, and I can't make it yet because the one of the guns in that video actually is on loan. So the nephews can practice with it right now. So once I get that back, then I can make that video. So it's going to be probably another month before I do it, but I will do it as long as Travis and Defense Dad don't let me forget that I need to do it. We've got a couple things before I do the list here. I just want to shout out a couple people, a couple groups. This weekend, I actually got to attend my first ever machine gun shoot, which was really cool. and I'd never fired full auto before Saturday, so that was awesome. I got a little bit of video. I had a lot more fun playing than I did shooting with the camera, and so there's not as much video as I would have liked. However, I got some, and I'm gonna try to edit all that into one video and get that posted. And I don't know when. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna take a lot of editing, but look on the Facebook page for a few pictures, some teasers to that, so you can kind of see what's going on. But I did get to shoot a Mac 11. I did get to shoot. What else did I shoot? Shot a full auto Thompson, which was on my bucket list of things to shoot one day. So I got to check that one off. Some other cool stuff. A Barrett M82. Never shot a 50 caliber before. Now I can say I have 10 times. So that was awesome. All right. And also I want to shout out, I'm wearing the t-shirt, but I haven't really shown it off yet. So SS Pawn Shop in Lexington, Nebraska, who anybody who watches Travis P11 is familiar with Stan and with SS Pawn. But I got a cool t-shirt from him this weekend. The machine gun shoot was actually out near where he lives and where his shop is. And so that was awesome. I want to shout out 1000 Plus LLC. And then also, I just drew a blank on the other. There's two different organizations that put that machine gun shoot on every year, and I completely drew a blank on the second one. But I want to thank them for having that. That's pretty cool. So go to, I think it's 1000, the number 1000 plus.com, and you can get details for that every year. It's pretty cool, right in the middle of Nebraska there in Lexington. Very, very cool range. Hornady does a lot of their testing for new load workups there, and they actually get a lot of federal military and other alphabet agency groups there to do some training and stuff as well, and testing, not only training, but testing different loads with Hornady and with whoever. So that's kind of cool that they've got that, but you can shoot out to 2000 and beyond at that range. So it's pretty neat. And I can now say I've rung a gong at 1,000 yards too, which is awesome, because my previous longest shot, I think, was 345. That wasn't with a long range gun. That was with a hunting rifle. So anyway, I wanted to shout out all of that and just mention that I got to shoot a Tommy gun and brag about that a little bit. So, all right, we have got the list. So again, if you haven't been commenting out there in the chat, we don't know that you're here. So as you're out there and dropping those comments, Sandhills Sweetheart is nice enough to write them down for me, so I get to say hi to everybody every week. So thank you for joining us. Mystic Guns, Kingpin, Simon Says Train, Iron Horseman, Defense Dad, Locked and Loaded Latinos, Mike, Two Live Moo, Grim 90, Idaho Rogers USMC, M. Gabriel, Emily L, G23, Seven Wonders, Blitz, Earth, Fluffy 10mm Jeep Guy, Agorizer, Josiola, Keith Umstead, James Allen, 2A Rally, Armament Naxxes, Patriot in the Dark, Nighthawk Medic, It Was Like Emptiness, Rob Pincus, Ozzy Osbourne, Tim Foley, Clovertack, Timothy Knight, Ghost Tactical, and again, Pat's out there right now. If we missed anybody, it's your own fault because you weren't talking enough. So make sure you drop those comments out there so we get to see you, and we can thank you for joining us. So I think that is just about everything that I wanted to talk about. I did get a couple more hats in this week from Black Swan Tactical, so you can get different colors in the Sandhills shooter hat. If you want to get some cool gear from the channel, then you just go to blackswantactical.com, and there is a link there to the Sandhills shooter collection. More stuff's going to be coming out from time to time, so keep an eye on it. Get yourself 10% off using this discount code Sandhills, and help us do the thing that we do. Otherwise, if you want to help us out, there's a couple of different things you can do. If you want to send us money, you can do it on patreon.com, become a patron, or just you can hit us up on PayPal as well. Email me and I'll get you the PayPal address if you just want to share some money. But the biggest thing I want people to do is just talk about this chat and other chats that we've done. Share it, thumb it up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Encourage other people to subscribe so they don't miss it. And I just want to help grow this as big as we can get it, which is, again, I mean, it's, Lord willing, it'll grow when he wants it to grow. So we will we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully more and more people all the time like what we're doing, because we are growing slowly but steadily. So I want to thank all of you for that. So on behalf of Chris Cheng and Tony Simon, and on behalf of Rob Pincus and Rolando de la Vega, on behalf of Pat and Defense Dad and Sandhills Sweetheart, and of course myself, thank all of you for joining us tonight. Thank all of you out there in the chat, making that happen, making it lively. Do not miss this rally for your 2A rights this Saturday, October 24th. All right, I want in on the cool club too. Here, we're all rocking these. So do not miss that. It's happening at 3 o'clock Central Time. It's the only one that matters. I don't care what the TV shows, what time zone they list first. They're in the pocket of big time zone. And so that doesn't matter. But that was brought up out there in the chat earlier. I don't care if it starts at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. The point is that Central Time Zone's in the middle, and that's why it's the only one that matters. So check that out on Saturday afternoon. Go to secondamendmentrally.com. It's 2ndamendmentrally.com. And register there and make sure that you don't miss anything. And it's going to give you links to all the places that you can find the live broadcasts. And yes, the presentations are not live. They're pre-recorded, but a lot of it is going to be live. And the cool thing is the live interaction in the chat, like we always talk about here. Everybody that's out there chatting right now, the same thing is going to happen during those presentations as well. And with a little bit of luck and a lot of effort, whoever's giving the presentation should be available to be in the live chat as they're presenting. So you should be able to actually talk to most of those folks as they're doing their thing too, which is really, really cool. So check that out. Make sure you don't miss it. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to anybody that was on the panel tonight, go through me. Direct message me on Facebook or send an email to sandhillshooter@gmail.com, and I will get you in contact with the rest of the people as well. I think that's about it. So thanks everybody for being here. We love all of you. God bless all of you, but get off my lawn.